Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Liquor Control Commission meeting for Monday night, November 19th, 2017. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, Clerk Simpson.
Commissioner Vogel?
Here.
Commissioner Kruger? Present. Commissioner Vito?
Here.
Commissioner Papantos? Present. Commissioner Lang?
Here.
Commissioner Brady informed the board he would not be here this evening, and Chairperson Horker.
I am here. Approval of the minutes for the meeting of September 18th, 2017.
So moved. Second.
I'll take motion Commissioner Lang, second Commissioner Kruger. Roll call.
Lang, Commissioner Vogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Kruger? Yes. Commissioner Vito?
Yes.
Commissioner Papantos?
Yes.
Commissioner Lang?
Yes.
Chairperson Horker.
Yes. Citizens' concerns and comments, Clerk Simpson.
Citizens' concerns and comments at other village public bodies meetings. Members of the general public may address all village committees, commissions, boards, and any other subsidiary boards established by the village board or village municipal code, e.g. Board of Health, Plan Commission, Liquor Control Commission, etc., with concerns or comments regarding issues relevant to that specific board, committee, or commission's agenda, or topics that that specific board, committee, or commission has the authority pursuant to the village code to address. The chairperson or his or her designee shall strictly restrain comments to matters that are not relevant to the board's, committee's, or commission's business, and shall not permit repetitious comments or arguments. Members of the general public who wish to address the board, committee, or commission must sign the request to speak form prior to the commencement of the public meeting. The person submitting a petition, concern, or other comment shall be allotted 5 minutes to present their points. Ms. Wilson?
I just wanted to say my comments tonight are not at all specific to the petitioner coming before the Liquor Commission Board tonight. I would say this comment generally to anybody seeking a license that involved gambling. So I don't know who the petitioner is tonight. It's not personal. So I may want to make a more general statement. I think it's just my own opinion, personal, for financial business development, I just would like to see businesses come to Wheeling that provide a service that is giving and taking and not just taking. I perceive gambling to be, I don't know, it's just not. Most of the people I see in these sitting in front of these machines are over the age of 60. I get concerned that maybe they're on fixed incomes. I don't know. I just think it's not a good idea, and I think that I got really concerned when I saw the budget hearing, and they had that Spondylosville cartoon, which was pretty scary for me because it reminded me that movie It's a Wonderful Life, when it changed from whatever the name of the town was to Pottersville, and it was all, everything became pertinent to the vices of the day. And I just, I don't want to see that happen here in Wheeling. I think that a business, if they offer a legitimate service and good products, they should be able to stand on their own without, I just think people that gamble are going to, that's less money they have to spend on other things, goods and services that, in my opinion, and it's strictly my opinion, but that are more legitimate than that. And also, Village President Horker, I have a question. At the last Liquor Commission meeting, the petitioner from Serenello's, when you were doing your full disclosure thing, he said, are we making any money on this? And he said he was still talking to the owner, and your answer was, that was my brother. It was my understanding that you were also a part owner in that farm. Is that not correct?
Part owner of the land in question.
The land, is that separate from the farm?
There are several different businesses.
I know at one time you said there were 5 that it bothered you. You had to pay insurance on 5 when it was only actually 1 piece of land. So you are, in fact, an owner.
Ms. Wilson, we don't answer questions during this period. If you would like to talk to President
I'm not talking to you. You are not
Horker.
my elected official. You are not my elected official. He's my elected official. He answered a question. The guy said, I'm talking to the owner, and he said that would be my brother. It's a legitimate question. Are you the owner or aren't you?
I'll be happy to have a long discussion with you about.
No,
how
it's a
the
simple yes or no. You own it or you don't.
The land, I'm a part owner of the land.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
That is all.
Thank you. New business. Mr. Spondilis.
Madam Clerk.
Simpson.
Consideration of request for Class AV liquor license from Casa, Chapala Grill Incorporated.
No, Mr. Simpson.
Thank you. As the title indicates, we do have a request for a Class AV license. This is for a new restaurant located at 34 North Elmhurst Road, affectionately known throughout the community as the old Arby's establishment. We have a representative here who can answer any questions. By way of background, there were some monies owed from past food and beverage taxes. Those have been paid in full. So the opportunity tonight exists to give to grant the liquor license should the board or should the commission so desire.
Commissioner Papantos.
Just one quick question. When do you plan to open or take ownership?
Sometime as soon as I get all the liquor and village registration.
And then you need a state license also,
Yes,
correct?
of course.
Thank you.
If there are no other questions, I would look for a motion to approve.
So move.
Motion, Trustee Lang.
Second.
Second, Trustee Vito. Roll call.
Commissioner Vogel,
No.
Commissioner Kruger,
Yes.
Commissioner Vito,
Yes.
Commissioner Papantos,
Yes.
Commissioner Lang,
Yes.
Chairperson Horker.
Yes.
Passes. Thank you.
Hey, thank you.
Yes.
There is no other business for the Liquor Commission this evening. I would look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion, Trustee Kruger, second.
Second.
Trustee Papantos, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. I'd now like to call the regular meeting of the Village Board for November 19th to order. Clerk Simpson, roll call.
Trustee Vogel,
Present.
Trustee Kruger,
Present.
Trustee Vito,
Here.
Trustee Papantos,
Present.
Trustee Lang,
Here.
Trustee Brady informed the board he would not be here this evening, and President Horker.
I am here. We now need a motion to approve the minutes for November 4th.
So moved.
Motion, Trustee Papantos, second.
Wait a minute. Oh, that's okay.
Looking for a second. Second. Trustee Lang, roll call.
Trustee Vogel,
Yes.
Trustee Kruger,
Yes.
Trustee Vito,
Yes.
Trustee Papantos,
Yes.
Trustee Lang,
Yes.
Trustee Brady. Oh, he's not here. President Horker.
Yes. Any changes to the agenda?
There are none this evening.
Thank you. Proclamations and congratulatory resolutions. Clerk Simpson. Are there 6 or 7 months?
I don't have it. You have it?
Have it in front of you.
Two technical difficulties.
Do you have it printed?
No.
Well, Rocella, we have a proclamation for you. Chief, can you talk about a little about what the award is? Let this not be a reflection on how important it is, but obviously a glitch here that it didn't come up for us to read formally. But Chief, if you would.
Yes, Rocella Rodgers, our new 911 Center coordinator, who joined us this year. In her first year became the Director of the Year in the state of Illinois for 911 communication centers. It's a great honor for the village of Wheeling, and it's a significant reflection of Rocella's hard work since joining us. In her first year, she implemented the Starcom 21 system, which of course is the digital platform. She's revamped the center and taken the leadership helm. She was nominated by her own employees for this award, endorsed by myself and you, village manager, for the award. And at their annual conference, Rocella was recognized for this achievement. And we're honoring her tonight for same in front of the public, in front of the board, in front of everybody.
We'll make sure that that gets formally publicized. And again, I'm sorry that we're not reading the details behind it. But as the chief said, this is a huge honor, not only for you, but for the village of Wheeling, and certainly a reflection of your hard work, and we appreciate it. Thank you.
Citizens' concerns and comments.
Members of the public may address the board with comments regarding only those items that are relevant to village business. No citizen shall speak for more than 5 minutes without consent of the board. Members of the general public who wish to address the board must sign the request to speak form prior to the commencement of the public meeting. Ms. Ryan?
Good evening. My name is Megan Ryan, and I am Congressman Brad Schneider's District Director. I wanted to take a few moments this evening to introduce myself and share information about the services our office provides to 10th District residents. Our #1 priority is to help our constituents with any issue they have with a federal agency, including but not limited to Medicare, Social Security, Veterans Affairs, the IRS, and Citizenship and Immigration Services. No problem is too small for our office to look into, and we have helped our constituents with everything from issues with the U.S. Postal Service to quickly expediting their passports to getting thousands of dollars back of entitled benefits. In addition to helping constituents with federal agencies, we also welcome our constituents to reach out to us to share their thoughts about legislation and to ask for Congressman Schneider's support on grants or proposals they may be working on that interact with the federal government. Our office is located in Lincolnshire, but we also hold neighborhood office hours in Wheeling on the 4th Tuesday of every month at the Indian Trails Public Library from 9 until 11. Please visit or call us anytime at 847-383-4870. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Ms. Kaz?
Hi, my name is Kaz, and I have been a Wheeling resident for pretty much my entire life. I went to Carl Sandburg, London, and Wheeling. My kids are also graduates of Wheeling High School. To be honest, this is only the second time I've ever found the need to come to the village board meeting. However, after watching these board meetings online for the last 6 months, I felt it important to come and watch this freak show myself. Please understand, I am not saying that against you. I have the greatest respect for you. I am saying that I am a customer service agent, and after watching the Edgar County Watchdogs and what was printed about Ken Brady, I can honestly say that there is no reason whatsoever that you should be taking the abuse that you have been taking twice a month for the last 6 months. At the airport, this individual would have been arrested. At my job, I would have transferred them or just hung up on them. I would also like to say I live in Hollywood Ridge. I take this as a defamation to not just my character, but the entire block, when she states she hopes no one from here ever gets voted to the board. If the board allows her to continue this way, I take it as defaming me and my block, and I hold you responsible as well. Now, the reason I'm truly here is, I'm sorry I was not able to make the budget meeting on Saturday. However, I do have questions, and as much as I understand, you can no longer take questions because of certain residents. I'm just going to say what I can. It was stated at the business meeting that a company moved from BG to Wheeling. I believe this would have been Zonotherm. I do business with them, and I do know that they bring a ton of sales tax. What did we as a community do to try to keep this business in Wheeling? I find it easier to keep a customer than to find a new one, which I ask, what are we doing to attract new businesses to Wheeling? Granted, I know if we try to wine and dine, you might find someone asking for FOIA documents, but I'll get into that in a little bit. Please understand, Illinois is losing population due to Cook County, and yes, I do believe this is the worst income growth. John and Mary, please understand that a tax freeze is great for residents. Illinois is the highest state in the county for property taxes. Ken isn't here, but I don't believe that we can charge businesses to deliver to our community, and there is no way to track that. However, I don't believe that is the answer. We need new businesses. So personally, I would urge every resident in Wheeling to contact John Carroll or Carol Sente and advise them that we want Senate Bill 851 to pass. If you don't know what that is a tax freeze on property tax. McHenry County just approved an 11.2% cut of the property tax. Mary, I understand and know you cringe with that law possible being passed, but understand the more taxes we continue to endure in Illinois, the more individuals will leave Illinois. And then where will that leave Wheeling? Now, if you consider increasing the sales tax in Wheeling, I will shop in lower tax cities. As it is, I currently shop in Deer Park and Hawthorne due to the lower taxes. Don't make me start shopping elsewhere for my needs, as I would prefer to do business with Wheeling companies. So Lake Cook is just across the street. On the request to spend an additional $50,000 for village landscaping, first, I believe the landscaping looks great, but until the village center is complete, we should put off on additional landscaping, unless, however, we can get the Village Works Department to install it, and maybe ask companies like Walmart or Horker Farms to donate some of this. This would be a tax donation for both of them. I see that the cost will be going up to $146,600. However, I am aware that it is costing the village well over that much to process FOIA claims. From what I understand from the federal government, that should be a total of 2 hours per resident or $100 or 100 pages. After that, any individual, regardless of the amount of time, should be charged $25 an hour. And we should start charging that to the residents if we are giving them more than a total of 2 hours ever or 100 pages. Now on to the fire department and Mary Kruger. Congrats to the fire department for the ISO 2 rating. Awesome job. They deserve their pensions. Ray, yes, we need to get residents to shop locally, maybe post on the website not only what the local businesses are, but also include their websites. I understand that if we shop locally through the business on the webpage, that the village doesn't get the tax dollars that way either. I believe that's what was stated on the board meeting, but I'm not sure. Is there clarification to that, which I know you can't answer right now? Thinking of a way to get residents in Wheeling to shop locally, give all Wheeling residents a 10% discount to shop locally at brick and mortar stores. Joe's Pizza does this, and thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kaz.
Ms. Wilson?
I'd like to ask Mr. Svandilis what your $200 expenditure was for Fantastic Fantasies when you were down in Springfield several months ago.
If you'd like to put through a FOIA, we'd be happy to respond to that,
Is there a reason why you don't want to answer it now?
because I don't know what you're talking about.
You don't remember swiping a $200 expenditure when you were down in Springfield this summer? You stayed at some Abe Lincoln Hotel. It was the same night you were there?
If you'd like to put in a FOIA, you'll get a full disclosure.
All right. I'm concerned. When going through the treasurer's report, I sent an email to Mr. Mondeshane, and who is always Mr. Straightforward, honest, quick with an answer. And the fact that he didn't answer it and that the attorney answered my question really concerns me. It regards to Joe Dawson making more than double his budgeted salary as an officer. He's budgeted for just over $93K, and he's one of the top 5 highest paid village employees, in the second group being something between $150 and $175K. I was concerned about our pension liability for that. I got totally different answers from Maluzzi. Maluzzi here said something that assignment of overtime was done by the contract, but then Mr. Dunn gets up there at the budget hearing and says he's one of 5 officers that is working overtime in dispatch, so that would not be the same contract. So that the application, the assignment of overtime could not be designated by a contract because 911 dispatch and the police patrol have 2 different contracts. So I'm just worried we're getting a mass exodus of law enforcement here, and I'm just worried that it's based on favoritism. They see a guy getting big money. He's in the same grouping with He's making more money than the police chief and the deputy chief. So, Mr. Mondeshane, is that full amount going to be subject to pension liability for our village?
Ms. Wilson.
This is not question and answer, Ms. Wilson.
Why can't he answer? I mean, we got a pension liability crisis. If this guy is making more than what the budget says, why not let him answer? I mean, I know he's your supervisor, so he's limited to what you permit him to answer.
Well, actually, he's here limited to what I let him answer, and...
Would you please let him answer? You had a big issue with salaries and pensions. You have matter of fact, pre-election, you thought pensions were unreasonable. So I would think that to the people that elected you, based on that campaign promise, you're concerned for that you would certainly want the man to answer if we're going to be liable for this guy's
Mr.
pension to an amount of what his take-home pay is.
After your 5 minutes, if you would please just move on.
I'm done. I just want the answer to that question.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You said he's going to answer after my 5 minutes? After I sit down, he's going to answer?
I said during this meeting, he will provide an answer to the public on the topic that you have brought up.
So what I'd like to know is, is he going to be pensionable for the full amount of his take-home or just for the budgeted amount? Just to clarify. Thank you.
Next.
Mr. Neff?
Good evening, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving, soon to be. I'm a resident of Wheeling, and I've been very active over at Chicago Executive Airport and going to all the meetings. I was invited to join their noise committee going back as far as September 2015. And our first homework assignment was to study the FAR, Part 150 Noise Compatibility Study. And so we came back from that first meeting to our second quarterly meeting, and I pointed out that there was a noise abatement measure that was listed that sure made a lot of sense, and that was a 310 departure. So the 310 departure is all jets taking off to the north would make a left turn, and that would take the northbound jet noise over an industrial area where there's hardly any population and away from our neighborhoods. So we were working on it for 2 years. It was on again, off again, on again, then on. And unfortunately, most recently, after several hours and some sunk costs at the airport, at the most recent Chicago Executive Board meeting, they voted down funding it any further. They needed another step of $79,000, and that was going to be towards CMT doing more analysis to make the FAA happy. And and their reasoning behind killing it was that they said it was going to be better suited to use for matching funds for noise attenuation or sound attenuation for the houses. And before they made this vote, I made my comments there and I said, well, this is actually going to make sound attenuation cheaper because the whole noise contour is going to be shifted to the west, taking out several houses, even the school. There was previous contour maps showing how this noise abatement procedure would work. So I don't think they did that analysis because, you know, it's penny wise and pound foolish if that's, you know, it's going to be more expensive to sound attenuate as opposed to a contour map that reflected, you know, the jets taking their noise to the west. Secondly, the people that have new houses don't even qualify for sound attenuation. So, you know, for these people, this 310 departure would mean that they get more enjoyment on in their yards and on their decks. And for us, you know, that have been long suffering, this is a 25-year-old FAA recommended and approved noise abatement procedure. You know, it just seemed like this was the easy one. And, you know, there was one director over there that actually voted yes to fund it, and that was Neil Katz. Unfortunately, Director Lang voted no, and Director Kolsak voted no. And this is one that we were fighting for 2 years, and, you know, we're just extremely disappointed over that. So if we're going to get sound attenuation, the clock's ticking now, is it going to be decades? Is it going to be, how many more years before that happens again? Because that was on the table and got taken off. So, also, just to throw a figure out there, from this past study, it was going to take 30% of the residents out of the noise contour that you wouldn't have to attenuate. So I dispute the better value claim. That's all I have to say tonight. All right, thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Neff.
Mr. Midir?
Hello, Phil Mater. I live at 85 Center Avenue. I'm one of the people that is in a new home that's not eligible for sound attenuation. I've asked the Chicago Executive Board, Jamie Abbott, how they're going to handle noise abatement for myself and other residents that have newer homes. I still don't have an answer. I'm also extremely disappointed about the 310 departure because, Mr. Horker, you appointed Ray Lang and Mr. Kolsak, David Kolsak, to the board up there, tenure over there, and both those individuals voted no to this 310 departure. It was very poorly presented as to what the cost would be. It was very vague as to what the FAA would or would not spend money on, and I believe they are required to spend money on actually some of the things that would ultimately happen. And this was just simply a test to see if it would work. I'm really concerned about the fact that the public doesn't understand that the expansion of the Chicago Executive is full speed ahead and that they're still looking into expanding the runways and they're still looking to expand the airport as much as possible. So I would like to see, and I don't know how it can be handled, if it can be handled through the Noise Committee or if it could be handled by Chicago Executive Airport, but Crawford, Murphy, and Tilley are the people that are the consultants to the whole study that's being done, and they've done a survey to the pilots, to the FBOs, and to other people on the Chicago Executive area there, and they've gotten their survey back. I would like a survey to go out to the surrounding homes of Chicago Executive Airport so that can be put into the public record in this, what is supposed to be a comprehensive study. Because I think if they start to see from the public what the actual desire is, they're going to find that there is no desire for expansion from the public, but that there is definitely a desire from Chicago Executive Board members as well as some of the people that are tenants there. Other than that, I'd just like to express my disappointment with Ray and with Mr. Kolsak for their no vote, because had they voted yes, this measure would have passed and it would have gone into place. So I'm hoping somebody will get back to me and answer me as to how my home is going to be sound attenuated and when it's going to be sound attenuated, because I'm suffering deeply from being woken up almost on a daily basis. And if you look and ask for a log of all the complaints, you'll see my name on there consistently and regular, and they also are time stamped, and I'm waking up in the middle of the night on a regular basis as a result of this airport. And nobody is coming to help with my situation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Berman?
Hi, my name is Steve Berman. I've been a Wheeling resident for approximately 10 years. I'd like to echo both Mr. Neff and Mr. Mader's statements about what's gone on at the airport board meeting. The 310 departure, for those of you that don't understand what it is it's not a very sharp turn. It is within the range of where planes are flying now, but it just takes it over the more industrial area to the west of Wolf as opposed to over the houses that are east of Wolf. As you could tell from what Mr. Neff stated, the plan for noise abatement has been around for 25 years, and over those 25 years, jet traffic has increased incredibly, which is much noisier. I wouldn't mind if Cessnas were flying over my house all day. You barely hear them. But the jet noise wakes me up at night, much like Mr. Mader, and it is burdensome to try and get a good night's sleep and be able to do a job that we all have to do during the day. Addition to that, something that wasn't mentioned by them is that there is an upcoming meeting for Chicago Executive Airport on the 28th from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. It's an open house on their new master plan. It hasn't been publicized very well. They've done the very basic of putting it in the newspaper a couple of times where no one really sees it. And I'd like to request that, I know it's only a few days away, but I'd like to request that if something could be put on the digital sign out front of Village Hall to talk about the master plan open house meeting on the 28th at 6 to 7:30 p.m. at the Ramada by the airport, that it would let a lot more residents know to go and could get involved and understand what's going on with the airport. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's it.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. Consent agenda, Clerk Simpson.
All items listed on the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the village board and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a board member or citizens so request, in which event the item will be removed from the general order of business and considered after all other agenda items. 11A, resolution authorizing the village manager to execute a memorandum of understanding establishing the Northern Illinois Benchmarking Cooperative, NIBC. 11B, resolution approving the release of certain executive session minutes of the President Board of Trustee of the Village of Wheeling, Illinois. 11C, resolution approving the recycling of certain executive session minutes, audio tapes pursuant to the Illinois Open Meetings Act 5 ILCS 120/2.06C. 11D, ordinance amending Chapter 4.32 of the Village of Wheeling's Municipal Code, alcoholic liquor dealers, specifically Section 4.32.085, to decrease the authorized number of Class A and increase the authorized number of Class A liquor licenses.
Thank you, Clerk Simpson. Are there any concerns from the trustees?
So moved. Second.
Motion, Trustee Lang, to approve. I believe there was a second from Trustee Vogel. Roll call, please.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Krueger?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes. There is no old business, new business. Clerk Simpson.
Public hearing, Class 6B for MNA Frontier LLC, 250 Alice Street.
All right, this is a public hearing for the public to make comments regarding the request for a Class 6B real estate tax assessment classification from MNA Frontier LLC. A public hearing notice was published in the Daily Herald. Are there any comments from the public? Oh. Any comments? There being no comments, I would look for a motion to close the public hearing portion.
So moved.
Motion,
Second.
Trustee Krueger, second, Trustee Papantos. Roll call.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Krueger?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes. We have the petitioners, Mr. Malenefi.
Thank you, President Horker. An application for a Class 6B real estate property tax classification was submitted by MNA Frontier LLC. The applicant plans to purchase, rehabilitate, and market the vacant industrial property at 250 Alice Street in Wheeling to an industrial tenant for lease. As such, any new tenant would be required to be a qualified industrial user according to the 6B program standards. Subject property is comprised of an approximately 25,000 square foot industrial facility situated on a 52,500 square foot lot. The applicant budgets the cost to repair and improve the roughly 32-year-old property in preparation for occupancy to be approximately $270,250. Proposed work includes a roof repair, exterior siding, including washing, painting, and tuck pointing, demolition and replacement of the HVAC system, dock repairs, both doors and walls, interior renovation of offices, lighting, new hot water heaters, plumbing work, and landscaping upgrades. The property has been 100% vacant and abandoned since July 2015. Since the period of vacancy is greater than the 24 contiguous months, there would be a purchase for value, the application qualifies for the standard 6B. The applicant plans to substantially reoccupy the abandoned property that has been vacant for greater than 24 contiguous months with a purchase for value. And since it's been greater than the 24-month contiguous period, a number of special circumstances also exist cited, which are age, obsolescence, deterioration, depreciation of maintenance, and the applicant desires to renovate or rehabilitate the building. Village staff has reviewed the application as summarized above and recommends approval of the Class 6B property tax qualification. Thank you. The applicant is here tonight to answer any questions from the village board.
Thank you, Mr. Malenefi. Any questions? Mr. Trustee Vito?
I have one for Director Malenefi. Did the county board pass something where if we're given 6Bs, the applicants now have to comply with the living wage and sick leave law, even though we as a village have exempted ourselves from it?
That's correct. Any applicant would have to stipulate to those two conditions. And at the present time, the applicant does not have a tenant, so we don't know who that would be, and they would have to meet that qualification with the county.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? If there are no other questions, I would look for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Trustee Vogel, second. Trustee Papantos. Roll call, Clerk Simpson.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Krueger?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes. That's it. Thank you. Congratulations. Thanks for coming to town. 13C and 13D. Clerk Simpson.
13C, ordinance granting final plant unit development, special use, site plan, and building appearance approval for mixed-use retail and residential plan unit development at 501 West Dundee Road, vacant parcel, address to be reassigned. Do you want me to read D2?
Yes, please.
Resolution 13D, approving the preliminary plat for DAC subdivision, current address 501 West Dundee Road, docket number PC 1718.
Thank you. Mr. Jennings.
Thank you, President Horker. The plan unit development known as Uptown 500 is before you tonight for final PUD approval as well as preliminary plat of subdivision. The Plan Commission has recommended approval. The major change that I believe has occurred since this was last in front of you for preliminary PUD is that the village is working with the petitioner on a draft agreement. It's a three-party agreement that would involve the village taking over the intersection improvement responsibility from this development as well as the Wheeling Town Center development. So there is a condition of approval in the draft ordinance that does relate to that. Essentially, both developers would hand over the engineering design. We would merge the two, hire a engineer to work with the village and IDOT on the permit process. Both of the developers would then contribute a share toward the completion of the project, but IDOT has indicated a preference for the village to take responsibility so that it's done as a single project and to avoid major disruption and to make sure that intersection improvements on both sides of the intersection are coordinated. Beyond that, this is a 200 262 residential unit development with 12,000 square feet of retail on the first floor. The site plan has only had minor changes since you last saw it. I'll leave that to the development team to describe. Before I hand it over to them, there is one note. I was just going through the ordinance. The ordinance itself has a minor error in it. The developer in their project site data table correctly lists the unreserved guest spaces as a variation from 50 to 44. The way it's worded in our ordinance doesn't reflect that. So while our ordinance refers to their exhibit, the code relief that we described in that section of the draft ordinance should be updated before it's signed. So I'll make that adjustment if this were to be approved, and then provide a corrected copy for signature. With that, I would like to hand it over to the petitioner.
Thank you, Andrew. I'm Joe Mashek with BSB Design at 1540 East Dundee Road, Palatine. And as Andrew described, there's very minor changes to the site plan from when you last saw it during the preliminary review process. There's just some minor changes to some of the data as well. We came in before with 264 or 265 units. We're now at 262 units. Our studio apartments, which was another question that we had early on, those are now from an average of 500 square feet. Those are now up to 675 square feet. So the other issues that were brought up that we've resolved, I believe, are some of the retail issues. We were originally, I think, at around 30,000 square feet. We're now at 12,000 square feet, which helps us both provide very high-quality space with lots of exposure. Also helps us resolve some of the parking issues that we had that there was questions about. Otherwise, we have our full team here for questions. I think that's probably the best thing to do is to turn it over to questions.
Thank you, Trustee Vogel. Trustee Papantos, you're next.
I just have one question maybe for Mr. Jennings. You mentioned the cost of the intersection is going to be shared. Are the shares from the two developers 100%?
The agreement right now is in draft form. So both the town center, which already has a redevelopment agreement, and then this project, which has a redevelopment agreement in the works, both of them would have a cost sharing based on their respective portion of the overall project. So each team will have to submit an engineer's estimate of probable cost. Some portion of that will be directly from them. Some portion of it may be from the TIF per their redevelopment agreement. So the short answer is they'll be responsible for it, but the TIF district may be, per the redevelopment agreement, the TIF district may be picking up some of that cost.
Okay, but nothing out of our general?
No, not out of the general.
Thank you.
Trustee Vogel, can I just clarify that? It will eventually be a three-party agreement with the village being the third party. Just want to make that clear. So it's the two developers and the village, and as Director Jennings said, the TIF will be picking up this portion of it, but it will be it is intended to be a three-way agreement.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Vogel. Trustee Papantos, Trustee Lang, you're next.
Thank you. First of all, thank you for the packet. You have set the bar for every other developer coming in as to what is nice to see and complete, and hopefully very few questions except for me because I always talk. Thank you for increasing the size of this studio or convertible, because I think I'm the one who brought it up last time. You heard people speak earlier about noise from planes, and I'm pretty sure you're not going to be in any flight paths, but you have a freight train running right behind you. Are you soundproofing your units?
There'll be the required soundproofing. One of the beauties of the design of this is our parking structure essentially creates a 5-story barrier between our units and the metro tracks. We haven't considered additional soundproofing at this point, but we are following the required standards.
Thank you. And speaking about parking, most of your residents, and I'm talking about when you're completely occupied, because I'm sure you're going to be. They're beautiful buildings, okay? Most of your residents are going to use the garage for parking. What happens when they have guests?
There's spaces on the, there's 30 spaces outside for guest parking. 5 of those are actually labeled and required reserved visitor spaces, and then the rest would be open for any visitor space, so residential.
I mean, with 262 units, I'm concerned that 30 spots for guests does not seem like a whole lot. You know, 1%.
And one of the things about this project is that there's actually 400 and, offhand, I'm sorry, you kind of threw me there for a second. There's 441 total residential spaces. And what we have found, particularly with transit-oriented development, our typical standard for those type of buildings are 1.4 spaces per unit. Here, we're providing 1.67 spaces per unit, and then those 30 spaces are on top of that. So there's the garage space, I think we're at 411 garage spaces for 262 units, and a lot of those units are one-bedrooms and convertible. So the way we've seen these is there has not been a problem with parking.
But you'll keep an eye on it and come up with a solution?
Actually, we will definitely keep an eye on it, and we actually follow up on a lot of our old projects. And the reason why I know these numbers are some of the other projects we've done next to train stations. I'm always curious, how are people living in them? And at 1.4, they actually have extra spaces, and that's in projects in the northwest suburbs.
Would guests be able to park in the garage, or would they have to have somebody?
We would provide guest spaces in the garage if there were possibilities, absolutely.
Okay. I'm sorry, I have read 3 different numbers on the garage, 5 stories, 6 stories, and 5.5 stories. How many levels of parking are there?
There's 6 levels. Now, and this is where it gets a little confusing because it won. And I have to draw it out myself.
Thank you.
Because they're ramped, one side's ramped. So what you do is you meet at one side of the garage, you meet the floor. So we're actually going up 5.5 stories because it's not a full deck. It's a half deck that goes up. So it's 6 stories in reality, but it's actually 5.5 because the way the garage works.
So only half cars can park?
No.
Sorry.
No.
Somebody had to ask it.
And that's why we have the description about the height. The height is 60 feet, 64 to the top of the penthouse, and that's because of that extra garage layer that to get the additional parking, we had to go up a little higher than the 5 stories.
And finally, I understand permitting and the number of agencies that you have to deal with can take a while. Let's be optimistic, and we approve tonight. How long before you can put shovel in ground, and then how long before you have your first tenant in?
Well, if we can get everything going, especially with the intersection, with the infrastructure, we'd like to break ground in the spring. And if everything goes well, probably the following spring would be, so spring 2019.
Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Papantos. Trustee Lang?
Thank you. So congratulations. This, for as long as I've known that piece of property, nothing has been built on there. And I guess they're saved the best for you guys. This is a great project. It hasn't changed much since we've seen it, but you know, very impressed with it. I'm curious about your retail portion of it, and what types of retail are you looking at? I know you touched on it before, but have you had any?
Well, we have interest with beverage and restaurant use, and so that's where we've targeted our numbers at this point, because typically the way it works with retail is unless somebody like Whole Foods says we want a corner, it's hard to land somebody for sure until you're actually building the project. we're looking at, and the beauty of 12,000 square feet is we could provide a space for a restaurant and then an auxiliary piece of retail. And typically that's some type of convenience retailer. It's a dynamite corner for some type of a brew pub or restaurant. And so that's what we're aiming at, and that's the interest we've seen.
Great, very good. And early on in the project, I know there was talk about water feature on the corner. And I know the corner looks a little tight, but perhaps with some adjustments to some trees or something like that, you might be able to get that water feature still in there. Something small, but still.
You know, we'll continue to take a look at it. One of the issues that we've had here is parking for one. The other is that we've donated 20 feet to both Northgate and to Dundee Road. And I drive through Dundee Road twice a day. And so I really admire what you've done down at Milwaukee Road and Milwaukee Avenue. I actually spent some time down there on a weekend, and I sat and I checked out each of the corners. And what we've proposed in the latest plan is something like this, where it's essentially the softer corner of Milwaukee and Dundee at the Fresh Farm. So it would be the southeast or southwest corner, where there'd be a plaza and benches and providing a seating area, then plus a seat wall with either the Village of Wheeling or Town Center, whatever, you know, we can work through as we go through the process. The water feature, though we would like to see something like that, I just, unless it's monumental, it becomes kind of, lack of a better word, Twinkie. So.
And you've seen the one then in front of Walgreens?
Yes.
Which is a much smaller water feature, but still significant enough to catch interest. That's too large as well?
It takes up a lot of space. If you go out there and walk around, and then you take a look at the corner that we have here and what we're trying to do with just with the intersection, we're providing an additional right-hand turn lane. So there'll be 2 turn lanes coming off of Northgate going westbound onto Dundee. There's a deceleration lane and an acceleration lane, I guess, along Dundee. So it starts to pinch our space. So we'll continue to take a look at it, and I understand the interest in it, and we're looking at alternatives.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
If there are no other questions, I would look for a motion to approve ordinance. Can I do these both at the same time? I should do them both separately.
Separate.
Ordinance to approve final planned unit development, 13C.
So moved.
Second.
Motion, Trustee Lang, second, Trustee Vogel. Roll call, please.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Krueger?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
President Harker?
Yes. And then I need a motion to approve a 13D resolution approving the final plat for DAC subdivisions, current address 501 West Dundee Road.
So moved.
Second.
Motion, Trustee Vogel, second, Trustee Papantos. Roll call.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Krueger?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
President Harker?
Yes. Thank you, sir. Congratulations.
May I just also thank Andrew and Brooke. Your staff has been extremely helpful through this process and have helped us create the package that you have.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Item 13E.
A resolution of the corporate authorities to determine the amount of the tax levy for the 2017 tax year.
I would be looking for a motion to approve fiscal year's 2018 budget.
No, the 17 tax levy.
Sorry.
So moved.
Tell me
I'll second.
to read it. Motion, Trustee Vogel, second, Trustee
Lang.
Lang.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Krueger? Yes. Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
President Harker?
Yes. Thank you. 13F.
Discussion regarding FY 2018-2022 capital improvement plan.
Mr. Janik, please.
Good evening. I'm here again, my third year, talking about the CIP, the capital improvement plan for the years 2018 through 2022. The plan is a comprehensive construction program that includes an inventory of all likely and anticipated capital improvement requirements within the village during the next 5 years. It incorporates new fiscal year projects and formulation plan that includes 4 additional years of projects into the future. The proposed document represents a continued commitment to the maintenance and improvement of Wheeling's infrastructure and capital facilities. The projects that are listed in the plan and that are completed every year are integral to the ultimate goal of comprehensively updating all of the municipal assets. Because economic conditions can affect the timing of proposed projects, the CIP prioritizes on the basis of need, but also tries to be flexible depending on the year and the contracts that we have. I'm going to slideshow to go through. I'm going to start talking about 2017 and then go through the 2018 projects afterwards, or if you want to ask me questions during the slideshow, feel free. Every year, well, generally speaking, every year, we spend between $8.5 and $9.5 million a year. Village engineers here tonight, as well as another member of our engineering department, Rudnick, they do most of the work on this. It's because of them that the projects are done on time, contracts are done, contracts are adhered to, and we don't get taken advantage of by various contractors. And we also have other people, our utility people, streets people, as well as other members of the engineering staff. 2017 was a great year for us. We had a lot of street programs that were approved or that were completed. MST Street Improvement Project, we completed almost 30,000 linear feet of roadway, both on the east and west sides of town. You might remember that we increased the amount of roadway that we did this year by borrowing some money, taking some money from 2018 and spending in 2017 due to an excellent contract that we had with Peter and Baker and Son, a paving contractor out of Lake County. Water main replacement program. This project is 90% done. The only thing left to do is pulling the fiber optic cable, which is happening not as we speak this now, but it's been getting completed. But all the water main work has been done. We did a significant amount of roadway work. We came to you on a couple of change orders for some extra work that staff felt needed to be done. But in the end, almost a mile or more than a mile of water main, 8,000 feet of fiber optic cable, and substantial new sidewalk in an area that has no sidewalks. Dundee Road and Community Boulevard, new signalized intersection. You guys use it probably most days. This was a major project that was about $2.5 million. We spent $500,000 on it. You can see the improvement, both about in front of us here, as well as the intersections at Elmhurst and McHenry Road. We didn't spend as much money on those, but we did spend money on those projects to help get them done. And I think that even though the traffic's not perfect out front, I think that there's been a great improvement for the flow of traffic out front, which hopefully is going to help our projects, one of which you approved tonight. The Buffalo Creek regulatory floodplain remapping. The project is still in progress. We spent substantial money on it so far. We will be spending more money on this project. This is a remapping of much of the floodplain area on the west side of town. I'm happy to tell you that I just got an update tonight. I'll be coming to you in the future with a more formal update. But this remapping, we expected 600 homes, hopefully, to be taken out of the floodplain. It now looks like we're going to be substantially over 700 homes, which is fantastic. It hasn't been done yet. We're expecting, hopefully, by the end of this year, that we'll have a new, that the maps will be updated with the new floodplain. And we're hoping for over 700 homes to be taken out of the floodplain properties.
Excuse me, Director Janik, that means that individuals who are no longer in the floodplain no longer need flood insurance, correct?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Asphalt surface treatment. One thing that we've been doing the last few years is trying to implement new types of programs. This year, we researched and applied a new roadway sealant in North Hollywood. This was about 30,000 linear feet of pavement that had new sealant applied to it. We tried one sealant in Shadow Bend a couple years ago and didn't take as well. There's a new product, especially in Illinois. We've had numerous municipalities as well as Lake County looking at our project, looking how it was installed for additional use around the north suburbs. Next year, we're going to be doing it in Shadow Bend. Sanitary sewer pipe, manhole lining rehabilitation. This is a project that we've been doing every year, every other year. There's new regulations that require us to make sure that our sanitary sewer and storm sewers are not leaking water, leaking effluent. We spent $170,000 this year on budget. Sanitary sewer evaluation services. This is the investigation that leads to the repair, lining of pipes, lining of manholes. Wolf Road and Northgate Bridge repair. Both bridges this year were repaired. It wasn't a major repair. It wasn't structural repair, but there was rust. There were gaps in the pavement that needed to be resealed and painted on the other side. You might note that the Northgate Bridge, there's an added sidewalk on the bridge itself, and there's sidewalk that was extended from the bridge to Dundee Road to assist with the development, the apartments that were constructed and the ones that will be constructed for people to go to and from the train station. Expenditures this year, we spent 96% of our budget. Our contingency is we have tiny contingencies on our contracts. That's one reason why you might see me coming to you for change orders. We don't have large contingencies. The reason we do that, we basically we're challenging ourselves to stay within the budget that we provide to you guys. This year, an overall increase of 1.4% was reflective of the change orders that I brought to you. A lot of that 1.4% was actually additional work that we wanted to get done, not that the contractor requested of us. So it's a great reflection on our staff to keep our projects within budget. 2018, every year we use multiple funds for funding. This gives you an idea of the different funds that we use. Capital Projects Fund, the MFT Fund, Water and Sewer Fund, Storm Sewer Fund, which is new, and then TIF monies we also use. Every year we do sidewalks. This year we're going to be spending $40,000 on sidewalks, replacing of the sidewalks themselves, the squares, and we also do grinding of sidewalks. This is a new sidewalk construction project that we have on Milwaukee Avenue. I'm sure you've noticed, but there are gaps in the Milwaukee Avenue sidewalks, particularly on the south end near Hinch Road. We've been trying to get this project off the ground for the last couple of years. We're still waiting on some easements that were required, but this is hopefully going to connect Industrial Lane north to Hinch Road, and then from the Hinch Road north to where the sidewalk ends, which is approximately half a mile north of Hinch Road, and then have a sidewalk that extends west on Hinch Road as well. We're trying to get funding for this because it does involve a bus stop and, sort of a mass transit connection here. Dundee Road lighting. This is lighting, you've seen our new lighting in front of the Village Hall here going east. This is from Northgate Park going west all the way to the village, in the village boundary on the west end of town. Street tree planting every year. This year it's $20,000 of new tree planting. Of course, we spend probably $100,000 on new street trees, maintenance, stump grinding, removing of trees. But for new trees this year, it's $20,000.
Excuse me, Director Janik?
Yes, excuse me?
Are all the emerald ash borer trees done?
Yes.
What about on private property?
No. No, there's plenty of ash trees on private property that are in various stages of, some are healthy, amazingly, but there are trees in the, that are deteriorating from either the borer or being affected by the borer and then slowly dying off. So there is concern on private property for trees that are deceased.
Thanks, I had 3, and it's pretty easy to tell when they start to decline. So anyway, I was curious, thank you.
This project, entrance signs, I believe this was brought up at previous couple meetings. This is a community development project that we're going to help work on, but I think you'll be seeing some presentation in the future relative to the new entrance signs. Fire Station 23 remodeling. This project is, this is for the fire station at the corner of Hinch Road and Wheeling Road. The property needs to be renovated and modernized, and we're going to attempt to help the fire department to get this done this year. Again, this is the HA5 surface asphalt treatment that we did in Hollywood Ridge. This year we're going to be doing it in Shadow Bend and Dunhurst Unit 3. And I believe we're going to try to get the village parking lot done as well.
What's Dunhurst Unit 3?
Dunhurst Unit 3 is East Dunhurst, part of East Dunhurst. I know it's, is that correct? So, I mean, mostly it's Shadow Bend, but parts of Dunhurst Unit 3. Neighborhood identification signs is another community development project. This is the more fuel tax program. This is the new streets. This year we're going to be focusing on Tahoe. A lot of bad streets there, but also in some industrial areas if we have the money to do that. We're doing the plans now, or our consultants are checking the base of the streets themselves, make sure there's no pause, and hopefully there's not, so we'll be able to do more than we typically think we can do. This year, for instance, we didn't have very many, the base of the roads were relatively good, so we were able to get a lot done. You can see 2018, what we're hoping to get done, and then 2019, these are the improvements for the streets. There are a lot of streets that need to be done. We have taken care of a lot in the last few years, but as you know, streets are in a continual state of decline, and so we're trying to keep up with it. South Wheeling Road drainage improvements. You've heard me talk about this. This project was delayed from the end of this year due to approvals by the Army Corps of Engineers, but this project is fully expected to get done next year, and will hopefully go a long way toward ending, or hopefully mostly ending the blockage of South Wheeling Road by floodwaters, storm waters.
What fund does that come from?
That's going to be coming out of the Storm Sewer Fund.
Thank you.
Water and sewer improvements on Industrial Lane. The entire industrial lane, the length of Industrial Lane hasn't been improved for, well, probably forever. We've done repaving of the road, but we haven't done any improvements such as water and sewer. Most of these properties are on septic. So the intent here is to use tax incremental financing funds and install both water main, sanitary sewer, and storm sewer, keeping the road the same design in terms of where it's going. And diversionary channel bridge and roadway, we are in process right now. Manhard is our consultant on this. They're working on the plans. The bridge manufacturer is working with Manhard tomorrow or this week, as well as last week. Soil borings are being taken on both sides of the creek to hopefully to show that the soils are solid enough to do this. We are in process with this project. And we request approval of the CIP for 2018 through 2022. Technical questions can be answered by John Tack. Hopefully I can answer wherever you have.
Trustee Lang. Tremendous upkeep and improvement of our infrastructure. It's great to see there, surrounding communities either have to borrow money or just do repairs. And here we are doing our upkeep and doing our replacement and not having to borrow that money to do it is fantastic. It speaks well for our infrastructure in this town. It had always been good. It's continuing to be good. And so I'm glad that you're overseeing all that to, keep it up the way it should be. Just one question on the corner of Elmhurst and Dundee. There was that little depressed. What did they?
We're still on it. I think we recontacted IDOT the other day. It is getting worse to me. It's getting a little. It's deeper now. They have been contacted. It's not something that I can do.
Right.
But we are. I know we contact them again about it. So when they feel, unfortunately, when they feel it's bad enough, then they'll come out.
Is that some of the problem in general with some of these projects, that there are so many different contractors now, and some of them are good? I think they did a pretty decent job on that intersection, but if you look further west in the intersection of Buffalo Grove and Dundee, in Buffalo Grove, I think that whatever contractor did that work did a just adequate job.
Yeah, I think that intersection is really, they did a great job. Unfortunately, I'm not going to say you're always going to have a situation like that, but to expect them to compact the base, stone and put in all the pipes that they have to put in, there's almost always going to be some sort of shifting of stone that wasn't compacted exactly correct, and that's what happened there. Right where that piece of concrete, small, it just, you can tell, the stone underneath was just not compacted correctly, and it shifted. But, the rest of the intersection, they did a lot of concrete work there, and they did a good job. That one spot, they unfortunately didn't.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Lang. Trustee Papantos and Vogel, you're next.
Thank you. First of all, thank you, Director Janik, and to staff. Great job on this program once again. We just approved another major project for the town center area, and we have the town center coming in. We have Uptown 500 and any other development in that area. Northgate Crossings is in occupancy at this point. Are we looking ahead 10 years as to what the infrastructure needs are going to be as we build up areas of this town that have really been vacant for a number of years?
Well, actually, we did sort of look ahead before these projects were done. For instance, we did put in the 72-inch storm sewer, or we didn't put it in, but we had the contractor for WTC put that storm sewer in. One project that I didn't mention, as a matter of fact, that's going to happen this year is we're going to be putting in an extension of that 72-inch storm sewer under Dundee Road this year. Hopefully, we're going to go out to bid this spring. That's going to extend that pipe to the north side of Dundee. So anybody on the north side that needs storm sewer to go to Heritage Lake, where we have credits there, is going to be able to use that pipe. We put a new water main in on Dundee Road about 4 years ago. Replaced. We had a lot of breaks out here. We put a new water main in there. So with that, we actually were looking ahead. So when this did come in, we actually, not that we knew this was going to happen, but it was likely. So we actually did plan ahead to get stuff done while this was done or before. So hopefully there shouldn't be any issue for them. I know they haven't, at least there's no complaints to us that our pressure isn't high enough or there's not enough capacity anywhere. So actually we were able to get some of that done.
Thank you. And just for clarification, this is discussion only, right? We're not approving this evening?
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Papantos. Trustee Vogel?
I just have one question, Mark, more information. What is SSES investigation?
It's an investigation that we hire a contractor to do, and what it does is it finds the areas that leak, that sanitary sewers, or for the most part storm sewers. There's leaks, so they'll you might have seen it in some neighborhoods, but they actually they smoke test,
right?
And where the smoke comes out,
okay,
that's where there's leaks, and that's where they have to come in and they'll seal the inside, and they'll do the outside too, of, let's say, manholes. But we'll seal pipes, but we'll also seal manholes. And so they come in, do the smoke test, and then they know where there's leaks, and then they fix that.
Are they doing that right now?
No, not right now. They're not.
Recent?
But every like the last 3 summers they've done it.
Okay, because I was walking the other day, and there's a manhole cover that it looked like a garbage bag underneath it.
Yeah, what they were doing there, they were actually sealing the manhole.
Okay.
Probably on the inside.
Yeah.
We had them grout the outside, and then they were sealing the inside now.
Okay.
So we're just finishing. We did 57 manholes this year, storm sewer manholes. So they're probably just finishing the last few manholes.
Right. Thank you. Good job, Mark.
Thank you, Trustee Vogel. Any other comments? Action? Mr. Spondilis, please.
Thank you. The board has been very kind in appreciating staff, and I'd just like to say, in addition to also thanking them for their efforts, to say that really this is the leadership of this current board and past boards that allows us to be in the position of presenting you with the document that every year provides the service that we don't really talk about when we talk about service to the residents, and that is the infrastructure, because that is one of the core services that we are required to provide to our residents. And I think Wheeling has done an excellent job over the last many years in ensuring that not just the short-term maintenance is adequate, but that the long-term preservation of our infrastructure is superior. And I think it is the leadership of this board and past boards that has allowed us to do that. And I just wanted to extend our gratitude to you and to say to the public that this year, I believe we started an interactive portion of our website that allows you to look at projects that are scheduled for the year and see how they would affect your neighborhood or where they are or what they are. It's actually kind of neat. It's a map with multiple layers. It is on our website and it is up and running. So something I think the public should take the opportunity to look at. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Spondilis. No other questions? That was just for a report?
Just discussion, yes.
Thank you, sir. Official communications. Clerk Simpson.
It's that time of the year again. December 2nd, Santa Claus will be at Lollipop Lane. It'll be through December 2nd through December 10th. Saturday and Sunday, the hours are 2 to 5. Monday through Friday, they're 6 to 8. Please come, even though you may not have children, you're an adult. You should come and see it if you haven't been there, because it's really a winter wonderland.
Thank you, Clerk Simpson. Trustees? Trustee Papantos?
Thank you. First of all, staff and everybody involved, the ceremony last night for the lighting of the lights was beautiful. The town looks great once again. I can't believe the amount of work that goes into this every year, but somebody gets up there and presses a button and everything looks really pretty, but I'm pretty sure there's a lot more going on behind the scenes before that, so thank you. And I would like to reiterate Mr. Neff's comments. There is a meeting, and Trustee Lane can help me here, on November 28th regarding the noise exposure map, the update to that map at Ramada Inn at 6 p.m., 6 to 7:30 p.m., and it is a public hearing on that, or a public meeting, so if you have comments, please attend. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Papantos. Mr. Spondulis.
Thank you. Earlier this evening, there was a question posed during citizens' comments and concerns, and I think before we talk specifically about that issue, it's important for the public to recognize that the reason that we don't engage during citizens' comments and concerns is because it's not our time. It's the public's time. All of our contact information is available on the website, as is all of staff's information, and we welcome the public to reach out to staff and ask questions. There are multitudes of ways that anyone who has a question can get in touch with either staff or the elected officials. And again, the 5 minutes is not our time, it is the citizens' time. And obviously, no one can be prepared to answer every question on the fly, which is why we have the policy of not answering questions specifically. However, and in this case, a question was posed and was answered previously, but for the sake of repetition, Director Monchain, if you would please respond to the question posed earlier this evening.
Okay, so thank you. The question had to do with police officer pension benefits, I believe.
Ms. Wilson.
So a police officer gets a pension based on salary attached to rank. So overtime from some other source, or any source for that matter, is not pensionable.
Ms. Wilson, this is not a conversation.
No.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Spondulis. Any other comments from the board? Any other comments from staff? I would like to personally thank all the staff that attended the lighting ceremony the other night. That was really nice to see so many of you there on your days off when you didn't have to be there. It says a lot about your commitment to the village. Thank you all very much for showing up for that. Sorry, I'm not too loud. Never too loud. If there are no other comments, we have the approval of the bills for November 2nd through the 15th. I would need a motion to approve those.
So moved.
Motion, Trustee Vogel.
Second.
Second, Trustee Papantos. Roll call.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Krueger?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos? Yes. Trustee Lang?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes. We have no executive session tonight, so I would be looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion, Trustee Lang.
Second.
Or we could just stay here. Second, Trustee Papantos. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, everyone, for sharing your evening with us. Happy Thanksgiving. Go out and commit some acts of random kindness.